Hey friends, welcome back to Chat with Nat, Conversations That Count, where we talk real life, real money, and real strategies to build a life without worry. Today's episode is brought to you by Casa de Confidence Productions. Julie and Dan Collins are the kind of team every podcaster dreams of. Supportive, professional, and incredibly talented at helping your voice come through clearly and confidently. So if you've ever thought, maybe I should start a podcast, go connect with them at their website, casadeconfidence.website. For this week's episode, I am really excited to have the conversation we're about to have. You guys, I have been doing a series on caretaking and how it applies to the 5 F's that I focus on in my podcast. And today is kind of the other side of caretaking. And I'm really excited to have my friend Annmarie here. But the truth is, caregiving changes you. It reshapes your schedule, your sleep, your finances, your faith, and sometimes your identity. But what happens when the caregiving ends? Who are you when the hospital visits stop? When the lift chair is empty, when the house gets quiet. Today's conversation is about life on the other side of caregiving, the grief, the relief, the rebuilding, and the legacy. Before we dive into this conversation, I want to go over my money tip for the week. And it is, caregiving is expensive, even when you're not paying for a facility. There's lost wages, reduced retirement contributions, out-of-pocket medical costs, home modifications, travel, time off work, emotional bandwidth. All of those things cost money. One of the most loving things that you can do for your family is not just hope that they'll figure it out when the time comes, but actually prepare so they don't have to. I'm going to encourage you guys to have those long-term care conversations, talk about income protection, look into guaranteed income strategies, estate planning, and make sure that you have clear documentation in place to set your loved ones up for success when they're stepping into a caregiving role with you. Financial preparedness doesn't eliminate grief, but it eliminates chaos. And Annmarie, my guest today, knows this firsthand. Annmarie Entner is not only a good friend of mine and a networking connection, a business friend, all of the things, but she's a daughter-in-law. She was a hands-on caretaker, a support caretaker. She walked through both her parents' and in-laws' passing, and now she's navigating life after the caregiving role. This isn't just a story about loss. It's a story about identity, preparation, and what love really looks like in action. So Annmarie, I am so grateful to have you here today. I know you've been on the show before and we were talking more about what you do in your business, but I'm excited to have you here today really talking about this. What does the other side of caregiving look like? Because that's not an experience I have yet.
Yeah, it's you said identity, and I try not to do that with myself, but it was a definite identity switch. Because, when you're now sitting on a Saturday when all the stuff hits the fan, that's when everything hits. It's usually 10 o'clock at night. It's the emergency run. It's the something happens. And your body does like this regulation of like heightened. It took a long time for that to dissipate. And constantly saying, like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, it's Friday, we were supposed to have lunch with them. Or, we had such set patterns of to do what. I mean, with my mother-in-law, she was in a facility. She needed to be there. The care, I couldn't give her the hands-on care that I so wanted to do, just wasn't capable. But having my mother in the house, I still will walk past the bedroom and do that, kneel in to look for her.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave.
Yeah, it's a huge transition, and I want to kind of step through that with you today. And I'm starting to, I think, learn some of the little things with my mom being in later stage dementia and having the big declines lately. Like, I'm documenting everything. I'm starting to journal about what every day is like, the things she says, the things she does. Right. So I have those things to lean back into. But it's a weight I carry every single day now. And like you just said, the lingering of that, there's still the pieces of looking for them or looking for how you can support. And then, the remembering that they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
So
I want the memory.
Yeah. So
the memories. So let me just say, you documenting this has been bringing all the good stuff to light.
Yeah.
And that's so important what you're doing. I wish I had done it. I didn't really know better, to be honest with you, because I was so not just taking care of one, I was taking care of two. So you doing this and documenting it, you're helping so many people. I wish I had when I was going through it.
Thank you. Thank you. And it really came from, the people I follow and the information and things they've shared that have taught me, that have helped me, that have lifted me up along the way. And after my mom's hospitalization, I thought, I don't talk enough about this. And it is completely in line with the work I do to help set people up for retirement. Well, retirement isn't just having the money to continue to pay the bills and continue to live if everything's good. Being prepared for retirement is all of the unexpecteds that are going to come, that most definitely include health, diagnosis, decline, just aging, right? We all are going to age, even if we stay healthy along the way. We are all going to age, and that's going to create declines for us. And so that was really what drove me to do the series that I've been doing prior to this. And so it's definitely going to be something that I keep at the forefront of everything I talked about, because again, it lines up exactly with what I do and the people that I'm talking to and the things that I'm trying to help people every day with through my own work and my own everyday life. So I want to start off by just taking you back just a little bit to when you were becoming the caregiver. So when did you realize you weren't just the daughter anymore? Was it a slow progression in, or was there something that significantly happened that threw you into the role without maybe the ideal amount of, I don't know if there is an ideal amount of time, but without a lot of time to prepare?
So I think it kind of came to light with my first old person, my father-in-law, and that was back in 2013. And that's how long I've been doing this. And it's a long time. And it was my first time having to do the hospice, and I knew I was good at it. I knew I was able to separate the emotional and the caretaking, because I'm at heart, that's who I am. But I remember thinking like, oh, this is going to set me up for my dad.
Yeah.
And it just kind of was like, oh, okay. Consequently, he died and my father had a stroke. And it was so like, oh my God, God has aligned this so much for me. So it was early on that I knew that this is what I was going to do. I was still always did it from a daughter's perspective until I took care of my mom.
Yeah.
I was always the daughter. I was always showing up. Do you need this? Do you need that? The phone calls, the late nights, the emergencies. Like I was the furthest away and always there first.
Yeah.
Doing 90 miles an hour on an interstate was not uncommon. So it became very regular and very normal very quickly. Did not notice that until when my mother moved in with us, where I then switched from being the daughter and caretaker, and then eventually just the caretaker. But I'll never, and I say never regret one thing that I did.
Yeah. Because
the amount of, in the moment, you're not really taking it all in. I've had a year to reflect of all of it, of all of them, it's almost a year. March 11th will be 1 year that I've not had to be a caretaker. And what I've seen in myself is the amount of grace that I gave them, that in the moment I was actually giving myself and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And it's carried over to how I talk to people more, or how I see situations from the outside in, and I see people struggling. I am constantly telling them now, give yourself permission to be angry in the moment when you are, because this is anger still coming. And if we don't give ourselves permission in that moment, we're not our best version to our people. And I didn't realize I didn't even realize I was doing that. But I was also a life coach at that point. My husband's in the health field. I knew things, and I was implementing them without even knowing.
Yeah.
That was God's gift to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that, you touched on something. There is a shift from being that support caretaker. It is still a caretaker role, but the one that you were showing up when they needed something, to becoming the full-time hands-on caregiver of having them in your home, or a lot of people go and live with them in their home, depending on the circumstances. So that is a huge adjustment, and makes sense on that transition to the caregiver, because really for me, it was similar to that, right? I was flying home every 3 months for my mom's appointment for the first year that my brother and I found out she'd been diagnosed. And then all of a sudden they were coming to live here. And so that is where you have to be able to separate that emotional side from the business side. And I am a pro at that. I have been my entire life, is I can cut off the emotions. And yet I'm going to say, as a caretaker, it's one of the most dangerous things you can do. You have to allow yourself still to feel, or you will lose yourself entirely in the process. And giving yourself permission to be angry in the moment allows you, like, look, there's proper ways to be angry, right? Have a conversation with somebody, or, even the person you're caring for, and say, for me, for example, is, Mom, I am so frustrated right now. I really need you to cooperate with me on this thing. And sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. But I find that when I can take a deep breath and just say, Mom, I'm really frustrated right now. I'm just trying to help make this thing happen for you. That release of it for me is what I need most. Not her actually cooperating, not her saying something back to me. It's acknowledging it exists is what allows you to release it, so the caregiver in you can continue to shine and show up. And that's so important.
And what's so funny is, like, again, a lot of this is hindsight for me. So I am like now looking, going, when I was frustrated and having that same conversation, I never really truly took in their frustration. Because we have to have this done. We have to have, no different when the kids were little. It's 6 o'clock. We got to start. We got to get, we had a schedule. But unfortunately, just like the kids, we're constantly pivoting. And it's not the pivot we want. We want it to be.
I think it comes down to, too, is, what is the situation with the person you're caring for, right? My mom has vascular dementia. I know people who, and so my mom had very slow progression for a long time. And then in the last 2.5 months, we've had significant declines almost overnight. But you could have somebody that has cancer. You could have somebody that a million different ailments, right? And so they may be cognitively sound and physically unable. Whereas my mom is, well, right now we're dealing with, she's not as physically able, but in the beginning, she was more physically able, but not cognitively sound. And so it's first of all, understanding what it is you're dealing with, and taking the time to do the research, ask the questions. That's something we were talking about before we started recording today. Was my mom's first hospitalization. They're like, hey, we think we should put your mom on this medication. What do you think? And I just said, well, if you think that's best, because I didn't know any better. Well, it ended up being a medication we've now taken her off of, because I didn't like, after a couple of weeks, what I was seeing and the connection I was putting to, I would give her that med, and within an hour, things were getting worse, not better. So then I started doing my research, and I found things I didn't like, including, why in the world would you give this drug to a dementia patient when everything I'm reading says do not? And long story short, we've now taken her off that. We've shifted to something else. It seems to be working great, which is wonderful. But it's all of that, right, Annmarie? So each one of your loved ones you cared for did not have the same thing going on. So you were learning new stuff. You were having to do more physically related things, more cognitive related things, based on where they were and what they were dealing with, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, my mother was, well, both my father had dementia, and my father-in-law he was dying of cirrhosis of the liver. So his mind was pretty jello-y at the end. And honestly, he was probably the most I've ever liked him. I mean, he was a decent man, but I mean, I really liked him because he was funny now. And we were having ice cream socials, and I understood what was happening to him. My mother-in-law did not. So when I was taking care of him, I was actually taking care of her as well. And that was really difficult. And I remember thinking like, I don't really ever want to do that again. I knew at that point she was never going to be someone I could take care of in my home. But my father was very simple. You told him it was time to go to the bathroom. He'd be like, all right. Like there was never ever an argument, a pushback, nothing. My mother would question, but she had COPD and her brain was right with us right to the end. She was just physically incapable of doing it. And she lived in Pollyanna world. And I was the one that would be like, oh my God, she's declining and she's really choosing not to see it. And I chose, because I have a great partner, my husband, I was like, you need to discuss this with her because if she hears this from me, I'm tagging you in.
Yeah. And that's important too, is to know who are the people you can do that with. And some people we know, some people you don't have that support for sure. But if you do, it's so important to give people their roles. That's something else I've done since my mom's hospitalization.
Very important.
I am the caretaker. I am the only voice she hears when it comes to caretaking things. Dad, you're her husband. You're her safe place, whether she knows she needs it or not. You're the reassuring, holding her hand, you know, whatever. And then my boyfriend, Chris, I'm like, you're my support when I need to tag somebody in, and your dad's buddy.
Yep.
Like you help dad when he's having a hard, because let's be honest, when they're both still there and you're caretaking for one, like you just said, you're caretaking for the other. And it may be from an emotional perspective because of what they're going through, seeing what their person, what's happening to their person. Right. So and, it's a whole different level.
Right. And I remember thinking like my mother-in-law was very simple. And that's the best way to describe her. She was not understanding it. And I don't have no college degree in medical or anything like that. But, you learn pretty quickly when you're thrown into the throes of things. You're like, oh, my God, let's start researching. Let's figure this out. And I would be asking her questions. And I'm like, Richard, she has no clue that the man that he's dying of cirrhosis of the liver. I'm like, we need to get there. Like, it's declining quickly. Like, it was like that fast. But they were all kind of, except for my mother and my mother-in-law. But it was like that we jumped in and they were gone within a month. Like it was very quick when I was able to like get in there. I mean, although I will say my father asked for my help. My father asked for me to come and take care of him at the end because he didn't want my mother to do it. Yeah. Like that moment of clarity for him was pretty big. And again, all of these have been gifts for me. I find them all to be gifts that they're all mine and I'm not sharing them.
Yeah.
That's something that, I'm sure my sister is a little bent out that she didn't get to do because she thought she was the one that was the most capable, but she was very clinical and my parents needed a daughter.
Yeah.
Not that
there are times that they need, or the situation demands one and not the other. For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it was a lot to take down for her, but I honestly knew, and again, hindsight is 20/20, right? I remember when my mother was passing in this room, like I have such an attachment to it. My sister needed to do certain things at the end of my mom's passing. I had 3 wonderful years with her living with me. I handed over those moments for her. Yeah. She doesn't even realize it. I don't need a pat on my back. I don't need to say, hey, thank you. She needed those moments.
Yeah.
And we were, Hail Marying and, Our Fathers, all the Psalms, all the music and fine. I had before, you need now. And that is something that most families don't do. Yeah. There's always an argument or friction at the end. And I didn't have it with my mom. I knew what she needed and I knew what my sister needed. And I felt the gift that I could give both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's super important. It is really easy to fall in a place of friction. And that's why, even in my money tip on today's episode, I said, have the hard conversations now. It does not eliminate any and all kind of friction that could come in the future, but it lays a groundwork that when those moments come up, because everybody has different emotions and different reactions to different things that are going on with different family members. And so when those moments are going on, what you have to fall back on is the foundation of what your person wanted, of what you agreed, the role you agreed to take, whatever's happening, right? And so that goes a long way to helping simmer down those moments more quickly and kind of resetting and reapproaching the situation.
So with all of that, and I'm sure you're already evaluating and doing this, I've given permission to my daughter I said this to her, when you're drinking and talking about me 24/7, because I'm a pain in the ass and I'm not listening to you, you have my permission today to put me in that home so you can be the daughter to come visit me. I don't want you to have to be doing that. It's all set up. We've done all that stuff. We've got ourselves ready. She's like, oh no, Mom, I would never do that. But she has the permission.
Yeah.
My mother was never going to a place like that. My mother-in-law needed to do that. And, you know, before I got on here, Rich and I were talking, and I was like, you know, there was this manipulation that we learned how to do, which I felt good in the moment doing it, because you're manipulating for their best interest. We did a lot of manipulating with my mother-in-law, making her think it was her idea to go to the home. Oh my God, she was never coming back. I mean, I'm in the emergency room going, she's never going back to her home. I want a social worker on a Sunday night, again, on a weekend.
Yeah.
Sunday night, 9:00 at night. And I know this doctor called me some nice words. And my husband was not that strong person in that moment. I took that stance, and it was hard on me, because you start doing that backtracking, like, oh my God, I overstepped. I did this. I did that. I got thanked. I wasn't looking for it, but I want to eliminate that for our kids.
Yeah.
I want them to enjoy us to the end, instead of having to parent us at the end.
Yeah. And yet, in so many ways, even if they don't hands-on caregive for you in your home or theirs, they're still going to end up parenting you in the
Absolutely.
end.
But I don't want to be that, and I don't even know if burden is it. I don't want to be that interruption, because Richard and I, what's it, 2026?
Yeah.
2013 is when we started.
Yeah.
And 2015 and 2025 is when we ended.
Yeah.
Our lives revolved around who's going to take who's going to come in. We want to take a vacation. We can't leave the country because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, I at the end, for my mom and my mother-in-law, we were planning trips that were no more than 2 hours away of plane ride.
Yeah. No, I've been in that.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, I've been in that role with my mom. I don't travel outside the country. I haven't since her diagnosis and they came to live here. There are places I could go outside the country that are shorter flights than places in the country if I go from one end to the other. But still, it's just a choice. There's so many more things that could come up and create issues when you're in another country than if you're not. But also, I don't take a flight that's more than about 3 hours away. That's my max, which honestly, I'm in North Texas. I can get almost anywhere in the US other than Alaska or Hawaii in about 3.5 hours. But everywhere that I have needed to go, I've been able to for my work, which is really what I travel for since they've lived with me. But the other side of that is too, that, you do shift. Like I don't plan vacations and whatever. And right now, even less than, until I figure out, okay, who's filling in what gaps. And I cut off all travel for first quarter of this year. I don't know what it looks like after that because until we get her settled into a point where I'm like, okay, somebody can learn now how to do all these parts so I could hand it off for 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And so that's the process with all of that. And that's why I always tell people, if you're not wired to be a caretaker, don't choose to be one. If you have a choice, there are situations where people are not prepared. Situations don't accommodate, won't allow for you to not be a caretaker. People get forced into it all the time, unfortunately, for a plethora of reasons. But if you do have a choice, and your choice ideally is not to be a caretaker, then don't be one. Even if that's what your person is begging you to do, because in the long run, it will be worse for both of you. And, you know, when this all happened with my parents, we did their trust. We set everything up. And my son came home on leave from the Marine Corps a couple months later. And I sat down with him. I said, we're having this conversation. What is it you want? What if something happened to you? Right? Because people pass at all different ages all the time or become disabled because of accidents or whatever. And we sat and went back and forth on what we want. And it was really cute. He looked at me, he's like, Mom, I love you. You know how much I love you and I'd do anything for you. And I want you close, but I don't see myself taking care of you in my home. I admire
that. I so admire that.
And I said, you know what? Good. Because I'm setting everything up so that when I'm tired of taking care of a house and all that, I'm not waiting till I get to the point that you feel like you have to make a decision. When I'm tired of doing all that stuff, I'm going to move myself into a retirement community so that when I decline, all those services are ready available. All he has to do is call in the forces, right? It all exists. Those communities are established for that gradual advancement through
Yeah, I
aging.
mean, I worked in a senior living. I mean, it started with, it starts with independence.
Yeah, but they're
And it goes,
all different now. They're like freaking vacation resorts now.
oh, they are. Well, the one that I worked in was high level. And back in the day when I mean, we're talking now 20 some odd, 25 years ago. I mean, rent to live there in a like a single studio was $5,000 a month. Then, but there was a doctor on call. You can go to the podiatrist there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
They got their meals done. They had a big ass dining room. They had a little cafe. There was like, it was all included.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna play bingo with my friends. They got movie nights. They got dance classes. They literally
that's what the fit was for my mother-in-law. She was great. She liked doing that until she wanted not to.
They plan trips all over the world. Somebody else does all the work. All I do is show up and go with my friends to wherever they're going.
Right, that's my goal also. By the way, when it's 100%. Time.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I
picture myself being the one, I've got the cocktail in the corner and my boom box, because I'm still going to have one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the back dancing up a storm.
Yeah.
I'm going to be leading some sort of, shenanigans.
Yeah.
That they're going to be like, oh, there goes Mrs. Entner again.
Yeah. But that's where that paperwork comes in. That is so important too, because you can talk about it and you can have all the agreements and everybody says they're on board. And if you don't have certain things documented, there will come a time you potentially don't have it in control because you're no longer capable of making your own medical decisions and otherwise. And so it has
to be done. And it's something that I also, I refer to people all the time and I'm like, oh, this is what she does. And then you talk and I know they need you, but they're not ready for that conversation. And I'm just planting those seeds because I'm like, this is who you need to talk to. You need to talk to this person. You need to, she's going to help you. And
yeah. At the end of the day, look, people are going to do it or not, just like everything else in the world. But I'm telling you what, you have that conversation 20 years before you need to have it. And it makes when the reality hits so much easier because you're not carrying the weight of the most difficult emotional conversation you will ever have in your life. And that's your own mortality. Or the mortality of one of your loved ones when they're talking about it for themselves. That was the hardest conversation my brother and I have ever had with our parents. But you know what? It's done. It's done. And now every time something happens, I know exactly what to do. I know what my role is. He knows what his role is. And so it does avoid all of that frustration and things like that. Right. So, I mean, okay, so
I've seen both sides of it, like where my mother was not prepared and my mother-in-law was. So I've seen both sides of it, and there's still chaos because they haven't done all of it. Where my mother did none of it, my mother-in-law did 90% of it.
Yeah,
and that was the caregiving part. She really didn't have that down right, like what she really wanted.
Yeah,
except for don't put me on dialysis, and we're like, okay,
yeah,
on a piece of paper,
yeah. And you know what? Sometimes your loved ones may be disappointed with your choice and your stance on setting your boundaries for what you can capably do initially. But in the long run, you being able to show up as your best self and provide the love and the level of care that you can is what really is going to matter in the long run. Right. Because it's not going to be smooth. It's absolutely going to be stressful. You can look back and think, oh, there might be here's the thing. If you don't plan, if you don't have the conversations, I guarantee there will be a point when your caregiving journey ends, your person has passed on, and you look back and have a bazillion regrets. I should have done this differently.
Right. Now, and you know me, I mean, I have autoimmune disease. I know what can happen to me. I am not blind to it. Yeah. I don't pretend that it's never going to happen to me. I know if and when something starts declining and I need a caretaker.
Yeah.
Who's doing it, who's willing to help me with it, or I'm just going to be like, listen, my brain's still here. Take me away. Like, I don't want to not have that plan. I have that plan. It was talking with you. It was talking to my husband. We had those hard conversations. We had that hard conversation sitting in our lawyer's office.
Yeah.
Again.
But you also
putting it on paper.
You also had those conversations because you went through the process with 4 parents. Right. And so many people, if you don't fill that role, or if you haven't yet to step into that role, you don't have those conversations yet. Right. I'm telling you, have them now while your parents are healthy, and so are you.
Perfect example. I'm going to give you a perfect example of shit not done, and pardon my French, of the stuff not being done. My mother-in-law died last year, March 11th, right? Almost a year. By April 15th, everything was taken care of. The banks were closed. The money was where it's supposed to be. Everything was done. He kept the bank account, I think, open an extra month just to make sure nothing came in. My mother's, she's going to be gone 3 years in July. My sister just finally was able to get their house on the market.
Yeah.
Because my mother took care of nothing even after my dad died, because living in, and I call it Pollyanna world, because if you're living in this Pollyanna world, what mess you're leaving behind. And there was a mess. And I'm calling it a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't say as much as, like you say, you need to have this all taken care of. You need to have the phone numbers on a piece of paper. You have it where you got to go. You give them it's in my safe. Here's this. Yeah. They have all that. My kids, my daughter has it. This is it. Yeah. I mean, I know, I'm not playing games because I don't want to have that mess.
Yeah.
It's not their job to have that mess.
Yeah. But also, it's important to know what's really required. For example, we did power of attorneys when we did my parents' trust. We did healthcare directives. Well, guess what? I found out when my mom was in the hospital, the state of Texas has a special DNR form. So one standard DNR form does not work for everything. I have to have a second one signed and notarized and witnessed for the state of Texas, so that if something happens to my mom outside of the hospital and I had a pink slip.
I had a pink slip on my refrigerator.
I have to provide this paper and say, my mom, she has a do not resuscitate. They won't go. I have one that already says that. They won't accept the general one. I have to have one for the state of Texas. So, so while there are all the main documents that you hear about, or you may hear about as you go through the process, there are other specific things that you have to do. Just being a beneficiary on a bank account or a life insurance policy, or specifically bank accounts. Life insurance policies, when your person goes, that money is going to pass to you. But when it comes to a bank account, I have power of attorney and I'm the beneficiary on those accounts, but there's still ways to set them up better so that your children or your people can access that money the right ways. Because as a beneficiary, it's still a process that it's all got to go through, and it can lock up those accounts and that money from you being able to provide for those final expenses for your loved one, their funeral, their burial, all of those kind of things. And so, that's where I mentioned before, if you have none of that in place, I guarantee you're going to look back and say, man, I wish I would have done this different. I could have done this different. Even if you have it all in place, I guarantee you there will be times you look back and think, man, it could have been this, or I could have done that. But it is going to be to smaller scale things than if you don't have anything prepared and you don't have anything planned.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, and like I said, my mother-in-law was she was very prepared. And I don't know if I told you the story, but I mean, like, she was like, oh, here you go. You just call this 1-800 number and they pick me up. I mean, this is all right. So we've been walking around with this card for, 12 years. All right. We just call the 800 number to find out. No, that's not exactly how it works. Yeah. This was done in Florida. And these 1-800 numbers so she bought like this bulk, whatever. And then here we are. I'm calling the people that I know that picked my mother up. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? In the nursing home. And he's like, yeah. You need to go to this facility. And all of a sudden it became like, well, what do we got to pay? Because we're like, I'm not going through the rigmarole of trying to figure this out. They wanted her to go like 70 miles from where we are. And we're like, my husband's like, so what does it cost? Because she wanted to be cremated. So what does it cost? Now, I have a little bit of a warped sense of humor, and I know a lot of people will not find this funny, but the guy said that, the guy looks at us, he goes, "Oh, from soups to nuts, it's like $3,000." We're like, okay, just take her.
Yeah. There's the business transaction conversation right there with people who do it every day, right?
Right. And we were like, okay. And again, we were like, all she told us was the 800 number. We never even investigated it anymore because she was so good at everything else. That was that 10% that you didn't have right.
Yeah.
What did I learn? I'm having all of that now and written down exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can plan all that stuff out. You definitely
Absolutely.
can.
Absolutely. And it was just like, I mean, I laughed. I've got a warped sense of humor when it comes to that. I always find humor in hard places. And I was like, again, there she goes, right to the end, man. She's going to do a love dig.
Hey,
but I
find humor in everything because you have to. In these hard situations, if you don't fight to find the humor, you won't, and you'll drown.
Absolutely.
Just Sunday, my mom will sometimes, and I think this new med is maybe helping with this, but on Sunday, she went into one of her places. She just kind of goes catatonic where she's there. Her eyes are open, but she's not there. And so you just let her chill. And then she'll sometimes go into, more of a scared, frantic phase of like she wants to get up. Somebody's coming to get her. Somebody's after her, right? So those delusions. Other times it will be she closes her eyes and she just chants on repeat. And it may be words that make sense. It may just be sounds. Well, she was doing it Sunday night and Braxton, his girlfriend, were over here for the Super Bowl, and sometimes it lasts 15 minutes. Sometimes it lasts 2 or 3 hours. And we were about a little over an hour in. And it was just these sounds, but there was a rhythm to it. So I just started beatboxing along. And my son and his girlfriend looked at me and I said, "What?" And so my son started dancing to it. And I'm like, look, this is what it is. And it's not, we're not making fun of my mom. We're trying to find a way. Like, we are listening to her chant for almost an hour. And at the end of it did go on about 2 hours. We are listening to that. It's like we could be sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, please stop, please stop, please stop, which does happen too. But instead, I started beatboxing. My son started dancing to it. I mean, it's.
But and you know what? So when I hear you when you're in
it, you will get it. When you're in it, you will get it.
But I will tell you, that's a memory that you're going to be sitting around in probably the worst predicament, bringing up a story. Do you remember when, grandma did this?
Yeah.
I'm doing that now.
Yeah. And that's where I wanted to go next, because I want to make sure we touch on this in the last few minutes we have, is when you get to the other side. First of all, what surprised you the most from an emotional perspective?
I'm now crying more a year later. All of them. Because I really never, again, I'm going to go right into it. I didn't have time. I went from one to the next, and my mother-in-law was the hardest. Like, it was like really the hardest for me. And there was a lot of synchronicity when she died too. So it was kind of weird. But yeah, and I'm going to say the past 6 months, I'm smelling them. I'm hearing their voices. My mother came to a dream to me last night. Like it's all starting to come back. My dad never comes back, I think, because we just ended on such a good note. I mean, my father was like, I am my father. He's a jokester. And I was like, yeah, okay, Dad, you're good. But my mom is now coming to me in dreams. And that to me, again, is a gift. I'm also hearing her voice a lot. So that means she's in my heart, which is allowing me to miss her.
Yeah. Yeah.
To truly.
Because let's be honest.
We miss them. We miss that chaos. I'm going to tell you, I missed
after
the chaos.
But when you're in it,
oh gosh,
there are times you're like,
no.
Oh my gosh, how long is
White
this
Wine
last?
Wednesday was a good one for me. White Wine Wednesday. It was every Wednesday. I was like, oh, it's Wednesday. WWW.
Yeah.
But now I can feel myself like, oh, she's here. There's no coincidence that I'm in her room, but I painted it yellow for her. It's bright. It's cheery. My dog Pearl, she has been sitting where the chair was. And that she did that when my mom was alive too. So again, I feel she's in this house. I don't know if anybody believes in that. I totally believe in it. This dog is barking and in this room, barking at a chair where a chair used to be. And I'm like, oh, there she is. She's checking up on me. Did you lock the door? Like, these are the things I'm thinking about. Because every night every night, did she lock me in? Well, for the past 3 years, you know, Richard and I say, did you lock us in? Because, you know, Edna's going to come back and haunt us.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I'm really leaning into now, where before I just couldn't do it. I wasn't capable. I was still taking care of someone. And I mean, another funny one is, you know, I never thought I'd ever have an urn on my mantle. Never thought in a million years. I have my little Jewish section. I got my, you know, my little Catholic section. And I got the best of both worlds in there. And my daughter says to me, wow, Mom, you have Frida on your mantle. And this was like at Thanksgiving time. I'm like, oh yeah, it's time to move her. She's like, wait a minute. She's got prime real estate. Now we're joking about like where she is on my mantle. I'm ready to evict her and we're joking and loving her and talking about the quirkiness, all the quirkiness. And what that quirkiness was that bothered us so much. Yeah. Has now become a loving memory.
Yeah. And you miss it. You wish. I saw somebody post something the other day about a loved one being lost and saying, you know, for all the times that it was hard, it was heavy, it was irritating, it was frustrating. I hated it. I would give anything to have the very hardest time back. I would give anything to have the hard parts back.
Right. And it's funny because that's one of them. Like she started having dementia with the kidney disease and the whole, how it's just all of it's just such a horrible cycle. And if I tell you, she said, a matter of fact, or the truth is, it got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm taking a shot. We would sit. I would sit and do this. I heard someone said, the matter of the fact is, and I went, oh, it's time for a shot. And I was like, oh, there's Frida saying, take one up. It's those little things that drove you nuts that are now those comforting and loving. And, I have one thing that I need to go through. She's got I'm going to call it a valise of jewelry. I'm sure 99% of that stuff is junk jewelry. But she was known to mix the good stuff in stuff. That is my last thing I need to go through. And I'm like, I really don't want to do it. Yeah. I'm like, I'll pawn it off. I'm like, I tried to have my granddaughters do it. They're like, nah, it's good, Grandma. Nope, I'm good.
That's on
There's
you.
just that, so that will be just like with my mother. Finally, I was able to get to that moment where like, I hear her and I'm now doing that for Frida. And it's, it can be a curse and it can be a blessing. And I think that's kind of how I've told a lot of people, in the moment, it feels like a curse. And then when it's over, you saw the blessing. And you see where you soften, like what would normally bother you. You're like, oh, you know what? Life is precious. Yeah. Life is very precious. And life is, it's meant to be lived. And that's your decision of what that is. Mine is to be a goofball. And I will be a goofball for the rest of my life. And if you don't like it, well, then you're not in my circle. Yeah. And that's the truth. That's what I'm taking the most out of it as, wow. I'm going to just live right to the end. I'm going to be like, give me that Jägermeister. Let's go. Have one with me before I'm gone. I just want them to remember. I mean, my daughter's, she asked me, because I'm not into that whole, I'm Irish. So we always talk about the joke with the Irish wakes, right? They're pretty real. But I said to them, I just, if you want to give me the church mass, go ahead. That's fine. If you want that, that's for you. I don't need it. I said, the only thing I want is I want you to go get your favorite keg of whatever beer you guys are drinking at the moment. I want you to go in the middle of a yard, stand around it, and just tell all the Annmarie jokes. All the things that I was good at, all the things that I pissed you off, all the things, and just enjoy that moment, because that's when you're going to go back and be like, oh, remember we were standing around that keg? Yeah. I do that with I'm like, oh, remember when we were at the funeral and we were talking about blah, 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 and we were laughing and like everybody's looking at us like we got crazy heads. Yeah. I want them to create those memories. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful, because the truth is, I tell people all the time, on a daily basis, I feel the joy and the heavy of being a caretaker. Right. And on the other side of it,
it's going to feel heavy in different ways. And then eventually, like what you're saying, is you ease into the seeing the joy, having the memories, and being grateful that you had them and wishing you could have them back just one more time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that call, I mean, I think, and I'm sure your mom calls you, right?
yeah,
It's that call. You're going to hear her name maybe right after like you don't know. I know I hear my mother calling at that
yeah,
pitch, Annmarie. And I'm like, oh.
yeah,
And I remember doing like, prepare yourself. And now I just wish I could do that.
yeah. You wish you could hear
Do
him call your name one more time for
one
sure.
more time. Although I did record my mother and my father, and I have those memories. I
Yeah,
would suggest anybody that has a loved one, start recording so you have their voice and you never miss it because
yeah.
you have it anytime you want to tap into it.
I have done several of those for sure, and a lot more pictures than I would normally take. And also, like I said, journaling things out from my own perspective so I can remember what I was thinking at the
Mm-hmm.
time, in addition to having the memory of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Annmarie, I want to ask, like, I know, you kind of talked about how rediscovering yourself, and it's bringing up the emotions and the joy and the memories of this. But for somebody, as we wind this episode out, if somebody's in the thick of it right now, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed, what would you say to them?
Pause. Take that pause. And I mean a pause. If you need to walk into the bathroom and let your tears roll down your face and gain your composure, pause. That was it. Many occasions that I did it, didn't even know I was doing it, but I know it saved me and it saved them. And I was the best I could always be when I would walk away. Or that tag, go find that person. Okay. It's your turn.
Mm,
I need a break. Just give me a 5-minute break.
yeah,
I didn't have I mean, I had Richard. I can't say that I didn't have, but I didn't have a whole lot of those. Nobody was close to me.
yeah.
So I did a lot of in the bathroom crying, pausing, gaining my composure. I mean, if you don't, you're holding in just toxic stuff that eventually will come out afterwards. After they're
Mhm.
gone, it's going to be, I mean, I don't know how I didn't have a flare taking care of them. I pretended I had a flare because it would be how I would get them to get things done. But, pause. I say pause, 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 or tag team someone. Or if you have another friend that's going through it, you call them. Listen, we are that generation right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to have other people in our lives that are going through it. I mean, how many times do I reach out to you? How you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. Well, and
You
I
need,
think you have to talk about the fact you're a caretaker so you know who the people are. Because when I started talking about the fact that my parents moved in with me, I had
Mhm.
dozens of active right now caretakers in my circle, and I had no idea because the
Mhm.
majority of us don't talk about it.
No. And we need to normalize it because it
Yeah.
is normal for us to do it. I mean, I'm sure my parents it was just normal. The families just lived with us. They didn't move away. The parents stayed in the same house. The kids lived in the same house. Our generation is we moved out and then we're bringing them to
Back.
us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're bringing them into our homes. And again, all of that is gifts that we don't even know we're receiving in the moment because we're just in like survival mode sometimes. Like, oh my God, I got to get this, got to take care of this now.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you are in survival mode and acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Acknowledge survival mode because once you realize that you do twitch, you kind of go, okay,
Yeah.
this is my, I'm just
reset.
reset. Like, and the pause, and that's when the pause comes in.
Yeah.
There's going to be a word that that aggravates you, that they're going to say something, and that's your cue. Oh, I need to walk away because this could be an argument. She's starting with, for me, would be a matter of fact. I would be like, oh, I'm going to go get a glass of water now because
Mhm.
those there are things that will bother you, that will grate on you because it's said so much in repeat, especially with the dementia. You're like, oh God, you told me that 20 minutes ago. I've heard that story 5 times today. And I still let them say it because you can't change that.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, like, how do I act surprised for the 10th time about, oh, did you hear about?
Yeah.
Pause, breathe.
Yeah.
Pause and breathe and talk to friends that are in that circle with you. Because if you don't have someone else to talk to and say, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. I appreciate that because, yeah, I think those times that you have to get yourself to pause and breathe through, ironically, on the other side of this, I feel like those moments for me might be the things I find I miss the most. Right? Because they were the things that were constant. That's why they
Right.
were that
Mm-hmm.
aggravating or that frustrating thing I needed to take a
Mm-hmm.
pause. And so when that regular thing is no longer there, it's going to be like, what the
That's the
heck?
loss. That's
Yeah.
the loss.
Yeah.
You know, you're
100%.
not, I mean, yes, we miss the physical person. I'm not going to lie about that, but we're missing the stupid stuff.
Yeah. The stuff that made us crazy is the stuff
Right.
that will come back.
Annmarie, can you get me not one, not two, three Hershey Kisses in my drawer? Meanwhile,
Mhm.
you could just go like this, lean over and get it yourself. No, that was her. She wanted me to come in. And instead of saying, hey, come sit with me.
It was like, can you get me a Hershey kiss? I love that.
Right. Right. Do you know, I had that bag of, she never finished that Hershey bag of kisses. And I pulled them out and the girls and I just sucked them down. A year later, we were like, oh my God, let's just eat these. These are grandma's. Look at them. They were horrible. We ate them anyway. But it was a
I
memory,
love
you
that.
know?
I love
Yeah.
that.
You know, and I think, you know, don't be afraid of it. That's the other thing. Because you can't stop it. So don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the train is already on its course and you can't stop it. So you can either jump on or you can hold on with, you know, white knuckles. And that's never advised.
Yeah. And I
It's
think
a fun, it can be a fun ride. I mean, if you really want to, I mean, my father was great. I mean, I could say something to him and he'd be like, never remembered my name.
yeah.
This is the fun child. I was the fun child.
Yeah.
My sister was the serious child.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I loved that I was called the fun child. I'd walk in the room. Ah, there she is. The fun child. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a lot of fun today, Dad.
I
I'm
love
cleaning
that.
your sheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, but those are the things, and you will miss them, and it'll almost be instantly, especially some of the ones that were constant.
Mm-hmm. And
But
then
pausing.
There'll be the things that sneak up too. So I
Yeah.
love that.
So, I mean, just me with that whole, when you put that picture up of your mom, I was like, I went straight to that day of my mom. I had to
Mm-hmm.
go get that picture.
Yeah.
I remembered that day like it happened seconds before.
Yeah.
And you know, she had like 10 stitches on the inside and 10 stitches on the outside. And, you know, here Richard and I with masks and, you know, it's COVID and we're like, wow, this is great. And she's like gagging because she's getting stitches. And we're like, oh, it's nothing. Come on. You find comfort in that later on. As silly as that sounds, there's so much comfort in all the chaos afterwards because it's chaos.
Yeah, it absolutely is every single day.
I know. And I thank you again, because honestly, this is the side that and I don't think anything is a coincidence. I am grieving, and what you're bringing up and what I'm seeing is bringing back all what I hated and miss. I miss that. Oh my God. You know, like going to bed. I mean, even that, like that, the one ear up. And then when they didn't live with me, I slept with my phone under my pillow that would vibrate. So I would feel the call. You know, those are the things that I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
it shifts.
Good night. Yeah. It took a long time. And that's the other thing, a long time to fall back to sleep without a worry. Because that, you know, you're always in fight or flight mode.
Yeah. That's the absolute, my existence right now. But also, that is why it's so important to talk about it, because I have so many people that are further in the journey with me as caretakers. And I have people like yourself who are on the other side of it. And because we talk about it, we set those coming behind us up for more success, because they have an idea of what to expect. And we're giving them permission to use their voices. And we're giving them permission to cry and be angry and scream and yell and show up the next day and do an awesome freaking job of taking care of their person.
So someone told me this a long time ago, and it would actually pertain to business and getting coached and with a business coach. And this woman said to me, she says, "You're never ahead. You're always in between, because there's always someone 2 steps ahead of you, and there's always someone 2 steps behind. And you're always teaching somebody, and you're always being taught.
Yeah,
if you allow yourself to be."
So
I choose to allow that to happen. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is a big ask to do for yourself. And then afterwards to allow yourself to grieve, because you weren't grieving in the moment, because you can't allow yourself to think of, oh my God, what if? It's, oh my God, I got to take care of it now.
Yeah. You almost can't have that anticipatory grief because you're trying to survive. You're not in a place of thriving where you have the luxury of thinking about all of those things.
Right.
And yet there is a part subconsciously inside yourself you actually are. But it's not a conscious thing where you get to sit with it and navigate your way through it because you're in survival mode. And so there is the circling of that comes around the other side that I'm not there yet. But I have people like you who have been, who can tell me what to expect, who can tell me what to watch for, who can tell me the things to do now to make some of those things a little bit easier in the future. And that's why, Annmarie, I'm super grateful that you joined me for this conversation today.
Honestly, this is probably the first conversation that I've had so openly about it and not be sad, but happy I could have it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not welling up, because I am, but it's them saying good job.
And I'm sure they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, you're not alone. Pause, reach out. Reach out to me. I mean, I'm on Instagram. If you need something to talk about, I mean, I say to you all the time, do you need a cry, a vent, or scream?
Yeah.
Those are the things.
Yeah. So, Annmarie, if somebody did want to have a conversation with you that's in a different place of this journey than I am, how do they find you on Instagram?
I am Annmarie Entner. Just Annmarie Entner. You find me right like that. And message me. I will be more than glad to have a conversation with you, because I don't ever want anybody to feel alone going through that. There's no need to be. And I truly believe that. And sometimes we need that person that's been ahead of us to take the delusion of, this isn't Pollyanna world. Let me just tell you, this is going to be hard. Yeah. Absolutely. Because it is hard. But, we make it as hard as we want. But I do, anyone can always, I would never turn anybody away, even just like, how did you do it? If they just want to see what it's like, or, what to expect, because everybody is different, but the expectations at the end is the same. They're gone. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that's the part where I'm at now. And I miss them. I miss the stupidness. I miss I miss the bitching. Like, I mean, that took up so much time in my life. It was like, at some point, it was like, that's all I did. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to this doctor. Yeah. It becomes who you are. Right. Yeah. And then it's not. And it's like, oh crap, now I got to actually live my life. I mean, look, I put my business on pause. Yeah. There's the shift of getting back to who am I and what comes next on the other side of it too. And I will tell you, I'm a better coach because of it, because I can actually see a different path now with them. Like, oh, they're grieving and they're not even realizing it. They're pre-grieving and making more work for themselves. Yeah. And grief comes in many forms. Yeah. Well, I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me. Truly, thank you for having me, because this is an important conversation. So thank you. And this is part of my healing. This is part of me grieving, and you should never be afraid to talk about it. I love that. I'm glad to be a part of that process for you. And I'm sure there will be conversations we have in the future that we bring back to the podcast as well. But as we wind this episode out, I want to remind all of the listeners, caregiving is not just a season of sacrifice. It's a mirror. It reveals the strength you didn't know you had, the cracks in your family structure, the gaps in your financial planning, the depth of your faith. And it also illuminates whether your legacy is organized or left to chance. We spend decades building wealth, planning for retirement. What is that going to look like? Painting that picture. But if we don't plan to the point that we actually build that plan, then caregiving becomes the bill our children have to pay. I refuse to let that be the story for the families that I have the opportunity to serve. And so if you are somebody that needs to take those steps, that has questions about that, what that looks like, reach out to me. It costs nothing to sit down and have a conversation with me. If you're somebody in the throes of caretaking and you just need somebody to listen
Annmarie opened the invitation. You have that open invitation from me as well to reach out. I will make sure that the link to her Instagram is in the show notes, so it's easy for you guys to find her. And then I want to, again, just thank Annmarie for being here, for being honest about both the beauty and the burden of caretaking that you held and that you that you dealt with caregiving.
No, thank you so much. I mean, again, thank you for what you're doing, because it's needed.
Thank you. And to every caregiver listening, you're not invisible, you're not weak, and you're not crazy for feeling relief and grief at this exact same time. If this conversation stirred something within you, please don't wait. Follow me on Substack. It's under Chat with Nat, where I share more about caretaking and my own personal journey. Share this episode with somebody walking through caregiving right now and let them know that they're not alone. And if you're looking for that conversation about creating that plan, you can find me on Instagram as well under Natalie Kime. This is Chat for Nat, conversations that count, because faith matters, family matters, finances matter, fitness matters, and fun, even that matters too, especially after the storm.